I would say, look, you maybe have low vision, but you can navigate your job just as well because you just put yourself into the shoes of a person who has low vision and you think, wow, how do you navigate your job so well, although you have low vision and you can't see?
This is The Difference, the show all about creating and promoting opportunities for people with disabilities. Each episode will bring you expert insights and relatable topics for change within our communities.
Officer, right?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
I'm an honorary police officer. So, I graduated from the Citizens Police Academy. And so they made me an honorary police officer.
That is so cool. And how did you get introduced into that? How did you meet somebody that would later then turn you into an honorary police
A
officer?
police officer told us about the Citizens Police Academy.
Okay. And that was something that you were interested in?
Yes.
Very, very neat. I love that. And do you still, so what, as an honorary police officer, what responsibilities or what duties do you have?
Like, you could just making sure everybody's, like, behaving themselves. And I was actually talking to a police officer because we go to Best Buy and they have police officers there who work security.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a couple friends of mine who are police officers.
Oh, very cool. Do you get a badge as well? Very nice.
I asked a police officer once, I said, what does it mean to actually impersonate a police officer? He said, if you have lights on your car, you're telling people, I'm a police officer, I'm going to pull you over. He goes, don't do that because that's, they can charge you for that.
Oh,
Yeah.
see, that's good information to know. So you can be a good Samaritan and you can, tell people be on their best behavior, but you don't want to actually impersonate.
Actually, but people do. They have the utility bell. They have the utility. Some people dress up as police officers that actually impersonate the police. Like they have the utility belt. They have the badge. It's like,
My goodness, they take it too far, huh?
yeah. He said if you're joking around, that's one thing. But if you have lights on your car, and if you have a uniform as an officer, then you're impersonating a police officer. But if you're just doing it to be funny, then you don't need to worry.
Okay, well, that's good information to know. So we've talked a little bit about, what it is that you kind of want to get into, what your dream roles would be, but tell me a little bit about what it's like to work at NIST. Tell me a little bit about your job now.
It's very, very nice. It's very nice to work at NIST because I take my time and do my work.
Mm-hmm.
I get to talk to people. I get to meet people. I have a work schedule that I follow, so it tells me what to do on that particular day. It tells me we have a supply closet that we keep our supplies in, and so I basically do my work until it's time to leave.
And you work in janitorial, right?
Yes.
Okay, and so tell me how you started there, because my impression is that you've been working there for quite a few years now, right?
Yes. A lady who used to be my job coach, she told us about working for Lake and NIST, so she recommended I applied there, and I got hired. And I used to have a job coach. She was completely blind, but she showed me how it is to be in the shoes of a blind person and how to navigate like a dark room.
So she would kind of walk you through different exercises that would
Yes.
help you gain that exposure beforehand. Because you told me this in our pre-interview that you actually lost your eyesight due to a degenerative condition, and it was gradual, right? It wasn't like so tell me a little bit about that and what it was like to work before this and then after you had your surgery and then what it was kind of like after?
It really changed because before I could see, I didn't have to go close up to see things, but now after the surgery, I have to go close up to see things because I have low vision, and sometimes when I work at my job, I wear a button that says low vision so people know, okay, he has a hard time seeing.
Mhm.
And sometimes, and I tell them, and they understand.
That's awesome. So they give you kind of that, they give you the resources and the support whenever it is that
Yes.
you need them.
Yes.
Very cool. And so you started working, I want to say you started working in 2022. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so since you started working, tell me about some of your favorite memories. Tell me about some of your favorite experiences while you've been working at NIST.
My experiences, I've met a lot of nice people in the building I work in.
Mm.
I I know them. They know me because they see me in the hallway every single day.
So it's nice to kind of have that
Yes.
camaraderie and that friendship.
Yes.
So your boss's name is Mr. Campusano, correct?
Yes, correct.
Tell me what your relationship with him is like.
He's a wonderful, wonderful boss. I see him in the morning. He always says, "Hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? Hi, how are you, son?" I always say, "How are you today?" He says, "I'm good." Always asks me, "Is there anything I can help you with?" Sometimes I say, "No, I'm okay."
And tell me about your coworkers.
They are nice. They said, is there anything you need, Nathaniel? Can we help you with anything? Sometimes I say no because um because sometimes most of the stuff is easy for me to figure out. But if I need something in general, I'll ask them for assistance.
Okay. So, I remember you had said that initially you were lower vision, and then after the surgery, your eyesight had changed again. And
Yes.
so, what kind of adjustments did they help you create to navigate your job so that you could keep doing it?
They modify my work for me. I I can't do I can't do stairs, and I used to clean the break rooms, but I don't do that anymore. Because when I used to sleep, I used to have a hard time seeing the dust. So they said no, we're not doing the break rooms anymore.
So, was their goal to kind of make that easier for you?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And do you think that that was something that did help for them to modify that schedule?
Yes, it did.
Good.
Very much. It did.
I'm really happy to hear that. I'm happy to hear that they were able to accommodate to what you needed so that you could continue working. I hear that you're a very hard worker and that you love to work, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So where does that like drive to work so hard come from?
Basically, getting to do my job and getting to meet people, and also just doing my job and know I did my job well. And I have my supervisor. He's really nice. He always asks me, "Is there anything you need? Is there anything I can help you with?" And most of the time, if I have questions, I'll ask him.
So you have people that you can rely
Yes.
on at the job. That's awesome to hear. I'm really happy to hear that. And so my understanding also was that you and your family had moved from New Jersey to
Yes.
Virginia to Maryland, sorry, for job opportunities.
Yes.
So tell me, what was that like? What was it like being in New Jersey first and then coming over to Maryland?
It was a little being in New Jersey it was okay, but it didn't have the jobs I was looking for, because I used to work at Habitat for Humanity. I used to volunteer there, and I used to work at a nursing home. They wanted me to wash a dish, and I actually broke a dish. And I said, "You know what? This job is not for me. I'm moving. I'm going to somewhere else."
That's funny. So you decided like that was not going to happen. It
Yes.
wasn't what you wanted to do.
Nope.
Very understandable. I'm glad that you spoke up and you were like, I'm not going to do this.
Yeah.
So tell me, what was it like volunteering at Habitat for Humanity?
It was very good. We used to help custom people when they came in. We used to carry furniture to their car. I used to clean stuff. I used to clean furniture. I used to greet people when they came in, which was very nice.
But the biggest thing was that they only let you volunteer, right?
Yes, they
Like
did not pay me.
you wanted a paying job.
Yeah,
You wanted them
yes.
to, because you were working hard at the end of the
Right,
day,
yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah. And I know for places like Habitat of Humanity, those are volunteer organizations, but you wanted that opportunity to be able to be compensated for the work that you were putting in.
Yes,
And so that's why you ultimately ended up moving to Maryland, right? Because
Yes.
they had that opportunity like Did Lake that provided that opportunity for you to get paid and also, use your skills that you have. So that's awesome that you guys were able to move and do that because it led you to where you are now. And you have been loving your job so far, which is amazing to hear. And so tell me a little bit about when you said, if God wanted me to have both eyes, I would have both eyes. What was that attitude shift like for you?
it was a change in attitude for me because I never had low vision before. And now that I do have low vision, I'm comfortable around the fact that I cannot see very well. I'm getting used to having low vision. I'm also getting used to navigating my job with my low vision, and I'm basically also getting used to doing everyday things now that I have my low vision. Some things are kind of difficult, but having low vision, it's something I'm fairly comfortable with it now.
Tell me about the biggest success that you've had. What's been the biggest, yes, I did that, biggest accomplishment that you felt to this point?
At my job, I would say getting to mop because I mop the breezeways, and because I've never mopped before, so that's a big accomplishment for me.
And was that something that you asked your supervisor if you could do, or did they give you that responsibility?
No,
How did that work?
they gave me that responsibility.
Aw. So that must have been a nice feeling to know that they
Yes.
trusted you with that.
Mm.
That's awesome to hear. Very, very cool, Nathaniel. And so I know you said that when you had first started, you started with a job coach, and that was way back when.
Yes.
So you're part of the workforce support and development program at Did Lake. So how have they helped you with your role and supported you in the role that you are in right now?
They helped me in my role because they modify my work, and they also help me, like if I have any questions about any assignments, they answer them for me. They ask me, "Is there anything we can do for you at your job?" Sometimes I say no because I know what my assignments are.
So you know what you're doing. You go in there and you're like, I have it figured out.
Yes.
Good. But it's nice to have that support when you need it. Yeah. That's awesome. So tell me a little bit more about what you like to do for fun. What do you like to do outside of work?
I like to read books about history. I watch a program on YouTube called Crash Course History, and it basically teaches me about different events and different time periods in history. But I would like to go back to college at some point to get a degree in history, or I would like to be an air traffic controller. Because I think it's interesting how air traffic controllers do their job. And also, I would like to get a degree in history because I think history teaches people, when you look back on the past, you think to yourself, wow, how did these events transpire? How did we get to where we are today as a society? I think it makes a very comprehensive report of how people evolved throughout different time periods, and you get to understand when you study history, you get to understand the past, and it gives you like more context of what happened. More specifically, I will give you an example. During the American Revolution, which was the purpose of the American Revolution, was to gain independence from the British, because America used to be a British colony before we became our own country.
So, what is your all-time favorite time period?
My all-time favorite time period is the Holocaust.
Really?
Yes, because several years ago when I was in junior high, we had a Holocaust survivor come and talk to us. And he spoke about his experiences in the Holocaust. And several years ago in New York on Court Street, I got to meet a shoemaker, a shoemaker who was in the Holocaust. A neighbor told us about him, but I tried asking about him. I tried to talk to him about his experiences, but he did not want to talk about it at all.
I think honestly that knowledge is power, and I know you know that too because you do so much research. And somebody sometime had said to me that history is really important because it's the best way that you can know what's happening, so you know not to repeat it.
Yes.
So it's really cool that you're also very invested into that and like to read about that in your free time.
Yeah.
And I heard that you also give your coworkers history lessons
Yes.
too. So what do
Yes.
they think about that when you tell them about, the things that you've learned?
The things that I've learned, most of them are very interested. Some of them are like, "Are we at school, Nathaniel? Are we at school?" I'm like, "Who wants an algebra lesson? Who wants a trigonometry lesson?" They're like, "Are we in school? Are we in college?" No.
That's too funny. But you said that you would return to school
Yes,
if you
yes.
had the opportunity to.
Yes. And people are telling me like, "Oh, you don't need to go to college to be successful." I really don't agree with that at all. I think because when I went to college, I discovered things about myself I never knew before. I'm like, wow.
It's a great opportunity for you to learn about other topics, but also
Right.
to learn about yourself.
Right.
So what kind of things did you learn about yourself?
About myself, that during my experiences in college, I could expand my vocabulary, expand my knowledge about different topics. I could also learn about what else I could incorporate into like when I'm typing essays, because I used to have to type a lot of essays in college, which was pretty cool because you get to learn about different topics in college, essays in college, learn about different subjects. They gave you like a format because I used to type an essay on someone who gave me good advice, and my professor said it has to be 250 words. So I said, the person who gave me good advice was a Holocaust survivor. And I met him at the museum in Houston. It was me and my mom. We went to the museum in Houston. And at the end of because he gave us a tour of the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. So I asked him, "Is it okay if I ask you some questions?" He said, "Sure." So I asked him some questions about his experiences during the Holocaust. And my mom's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm sorry he's boring you." He goes, No, don't apologize. It's good. Let him continue with what he's doing. And he said, if he has a disability, he said, I don't see the disability. And he was very instrumental, and because he pulled my mom and another lady aside to talk to them privately, which I thought the advice was very instrumental in what he spoke to me about. Yeah.
So that was kind of like him saying that you need to own, if you're
Right.
curious, you get to be curious.
Right,
There
right.
is it's a good thing that you have all these questions and that you're willing to ask people
Right.
and that you're willing to gain that knowledge.
Right. And he said it's basically up to your generation because now because it's up to your generation to tell people about what happened in the Holocaust, because our generation, we are dying out because we're getting older and we're not going to be around in 5, 10, 15, 20 years. So it's our responsibility as survivors to pass the knowledge of the Holocaust onto your generation, because pretty soon there aren't going to be that many of us left.
Very true. Every younger person has that responsibility to carry on the knowledge that they learn and the facts and the history, so that those things can, continue to be knowledge for other people and more people.
Right.
So that's really important. And so what other advice do you think people have given you that's really resonated with you in your life?
I think other advice people have given me that has resonated with me is you can't worry about what people think about you.
That's a good one.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Because when I was younger, I used to worry a lot about what people think about me. Now that I'm in my 30s, I don't worry.
Do you remember who gave you that advice?
Mm,
But the important thing is that it's stuck, right?
Yes, yes.
No, honestly, the moment that you stop caring about what others think, you feel free.
Yes.
Because it's like, at the end of the day, you are who you are.
Right.
And you have to love who you are.
Right.
That's awesome. I'm really happy to hear that. All right, let's see here. What else do we have for you? So you seem like a very positive person,
Yes.
Nathaniel. And your mom has even said that you are someone that's always been super resilient ever since birth.
Yes.
So how do you stay strong and resilient in moments that you feel are difficult for you?
I just, I stay strong and resilient. I just take it like a task. I say, okay, this is what I have to do this today. This is what is assigned to me. I just literally just break it down into like little tasks, and I just you don't worry about what people what 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 you don't really worry about what happens until it really happens to you, but you can't constantly worry about it.
Very, very, very true. And honestly, that's a very good trait to have when you're just like, you can only control what you can control. Right? Everything else, you just got to do the best you can.
Yes. Yes.
You just got to do the best you can. So let's see here. Oh, I do want to talk to you a little bit more about Renee, who is your case manager from
yes.
the Federation of the Blind. And do you know how that connection came to be? Was that like somebody that connected you with, or how did that
Yes.
work?
Mhm.
Okay.
Somebody I knew recommended I have a job coach
Mm-hmm.
because now the fact is I lost my eyesight.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was very instrumental in helping me with my job, putting me in the shoes of someone who's blind. And she basically taught me how to do my job. And she basically taught me how to do my job and basically put me in the shoes of a person who's blind.
And now that you have had the experience that you've had and that you've been able to learn more and be more comfortable, what is advice that you would give to somebody who is maybe in the same shoes or the same situation? What advice would you give them?
I would say, look, you maybe have low vision, but you can navigate your job just as well, because you just put yourself into the shoes of a person who has low vision, and you think, wow, how do you navigate your job so well, although you have low vision and you can't see? I would just tell them to basically like break it down into parts. Because what I do in my job, I break it down into parts. I say, okay, this is what I'm doing now. This is what I do tomorrow if I don't get my work done. Because they tell me if you don't finish today, you can finish it tomorrow.
And that's really important to note as well is that you don't have to overexert yourself to do things correctly. Like, you can take your time with them. You can, like you said, you can break them up into what feels most comfortable for you, because as long as you're getting the job done, that's all that matters. So, how would you say, how important was it to have the support of your family, of your friends, of your coworkers, of everybody through your journey?
It was very important because knowing you have a support system behind you and knowing the fact that you have people that are willing to support you, because now that I have low vision, I say that I think that it's important to have low vision, important for your family to support you, because now that I can't see very well, but I have my family that supports me, which is very important because they ask me is there anything you need? Is there anything we can do for you? But most of the time I say no, because I sometimes navigate tasks on my own.
It's nice to feel independent, right?
Yes.
To know that you can do that stuff on your own. But it's great that you have that support whenever you need it.
Yes.
Who would you say is your biggest inspiration?
I would say my mom and my dad.
Really? Why? Tell me a little bit about them.
Because my mom used to be a flight attendant for Pan Am, and my dad used to work at a rental car facility in Houston.
Very neat. And they're your biggest inspiration?
Yes.
Very cool. So since your mom was a flight attendant, does that mean that you guys like to travel?
Yes.
Yeah? Tell me about your favorite places that you've traveled to.
I've traveled to Los Angeles.
Ooh.
Yeah. I got to go on the Walk of Fame.
I'm jealous.
I traveled to Japan.
Gosh.
Yep. Singapore. Haven't been to Europe though. I want to go to Europe one day.
Yeah. Where in Europe would you want to
I
visit?
want to go to Germany and I want to go to Poland.
Oh my goodness. You know exactly where you want to go.
Yeah.
Is there anything specific about those places?
I want to see the Auschwitz concentration camp in Poland.
Okay. That would be a very valuable learning opportunity,
Yes.
I think. Whoa. You've been all over the place.
Yes.
And then you've also been, you said, to Texas as well,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. So out of all of the states in the US, which would you say is your favorite?
I would say Texas.
Texas?
Yes.
Would you live there?
Yeah. Because we used to live in Texas.
Oh, you did?
Yep,
Oh,
for
you
20
guys
years.
moved around a lot when you were younger, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. But do you like living in Maryland now?
Yes.
Yeah. Good. At least there they have those really good job opportunities that we've spoken about. Because I know that in some places it's not as easy to find a place that.
No.
Right.
No.
Yeah. So it's great that you guys have that.
Yes.
So if you could give a piece of advice to people that support employees with disabilities, so maybe like an employer or a company,
Right.
what advice would you give them?
I would say I would tell them, take your time with the employee, because at first you don't know what their situation is, but over time when you get to know them, you develop a relationship with them. And one thing I like about my job is I take my time and do my work. It doesn't have to be, okay, you need to just finish this like now. Sometimes I pick up the pace at my job because it's important, because I say to myself, okay, now I've done this, now it's time to move on to the next thing.
So it's just really important for them to take into consideration each individual, build relationships.
Right.
Yeah, because it's so easy for a person to open up and to have a relationship once you get comfortable with someone else,
Right.
you know?
Right.
That's all it comes down to.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, Nathaniel. So what is one takeaway that you want our listeners to get from this conversation today?
One thing I want people to get from our conversation is when you have a job, you have to say to yourself, okay, I can do this. I'm not going to rush through my work, and I'm not going to worry about, okay, what if I don't get done? Because I can say to myself, if I don't get done with this task today, I can get through it tomorrow.
That's something that I have to remind myself of every single day because I'm like,
Yes.
I want to get everything off of my to-do list, but at the same time, it's like you got to give yourself some
Right.
grace,
Right,
right?
right.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that with me, Nathaniel. Is there anything else that you want to talk about today? Anything else that you want to share with our listeners?
Yes. As I pointed out earlier, the fact that I'm interested in history and also going back to college one day, I think it would be a good thing for me. Because a lot of people tell me, oh, you don't need to be in college to be successful. I really don't agree with that. Because I think being in college, it gives you a chance to broaden your horizons and you get to learn about different subjects. Because I went to college for 2 years and I hopefully hope to go back to college one day.
You know what's really cool about, I know it's not exactly the same, but in this day and age, since you have so many opportunities to like look things up online, you can at least get a little bit of that information, like the free virtual classes that they offer and those sorts of things. But I really do hope that one day you're able to go back and get that degree because
Yes.
you sound very passionate about history and it would be awesome to have that up on your wall. And I know you
Yes.
can do it.
Yes. And when I was in college, I took algebra, but I withdrew from Stockton because they wanted me to take algebra. I had no clue what algebra was when I started college, but now I'm getting the hang of it.
Good. You'll have to teach me because
Yes.
I never got the hang of algebra.
Yes,
I'm so bad at it.
because I could give you an example. 2x plus 14 equals 7. Well, you have to isolate the term from the variable because you have to, whatever the x term is, you have to basically look at what the x is doing in the equation. You have to isolate it so you can say to yourself, okay, I've isolated the 2x. Now let me break down the smaller number into, like, wherever the smaller number is, you could break it down a smaller number. So you have to say to yourself, okay, do I add this number or do I subtract? Do I divide or do I multiply?
Oh my gosh, I need a pen and paper for this.
Yeah.
I can't do it in my head.
But a lot of college professors are against AI.
But you use AI a lot
Yes,
to learn, right?
yes. I used to type my essays by hand because I used to do it by hand. And I had a lot of fun when I was in college. And I would go back to college again.
Yeah, I really hope you get that opportunity.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
There was a Montgomery College there was 3 of them. One in Germantown, one in Germantown. There's 2 other ones. They wanted us to drive. It was very far away. I'm like, no. I'm gonna stick with the one in Germantown. Yes.
Well, fingers crossed that that's something that you can mark off your to-do list
Yes.
within the next couple of years, because that would be
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to share that with me, Nathaniel. I
You're
really
welcome.
appreciate it. And do you want to leave us with another fun fact before we hop off this conversation?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that anybody can go back to college. You have got to put the the naysayers and the doubt out of your mind to people who say, oh, you don't need to be in college to be successful. To me, that is just the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Because I think going to college is very important for people. And you get to expand your horizons and you get to meet different people. And in conclusion, you get to learn a lot of things about yourself in college you never knew before.